Alright, welcome to the third video in the series on Leaving Cert Probability, and what we'll cover here is the fundamental principle of counting, which is also known as the multiplication principle. And what it states is, if there's A ways of doing one thing, and then there's B ways of doing another, then there's A times B ways of doing both together. So we saw in the experiment with the coin flip and then the die roll that there was 12 possible outcomes for the experiment, that each individual pathway along the branches of the tree diagram corresponded to an individual outcome. So say taking the root of H and then tree would be a possible outcome, or say H and 6, or T and 6. These are all possible outcomes for a given trial. So we can actually see the multiplication principle visually in the tree diagram. So we see that if there's A ways for one thing to happen, 2 ways for a coin flip, corresponding to a fork in the road where there's 2 possibilities, and then there's 6 ways for our die roll to happen, and that corresponds to the 6 individual paths. Then there's 2 times 6 equals 12 possible outcomes. So hopefully you can see how the tree diagram relates to the multiplication principle. So as an example where we have more choices for the events, we'll have a look at a menu where we have a choice of 2 starters, 3 mains and 4 desserts, and we'll see the possible outcomes. The multiplication principle holds in general in the sense that if we have A ways of doing one thing, B ways of doing the next, C, D, etc., then the number of possible outcomes is going to be A times B times C times D, etc. And that's the number of possible outcomes. So here in our menu example, we have 2 choices of starter, and we have 3 choices of main and 4 for dessert. So there's going to be 24 possible outcomes. So in the next video, which is going to be the last in the series on counting, we'll see some outcomes where the order matters.